We recording? We going?
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll start by saying, if you're watching this, this has been long overdue for the both of us. We've been wanting to do this for some months now, and just now finally getting around to do it. Jacob, how you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling confident in it. Been wanting to do it probably since before Christmas.
At
Oh,
least we talked about this last.
yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while, but if you're new, I guess everybody's new here, including us. So first of all, bear with us because we're both new to this as well. We just ordered all this equipment last week. We're just all getting used to it at the same time, I guess. But basically what we do here is we talk hoops, man. We talk hoops. It's just a casual conversation. We just we talk about the news. We talk about we'll do some miscellaneous stuff. We'll do some games. We'll do some fun stuff and try to get away from all the take culture also that we see in basketball today. Because I can
Yeah.
speak for both of us when we say that can get very, very tricky very, very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I just wanted to start this first episode just recapping the season, man. The 2022 NBA season recapped about a week ago. The Golden State Warriors are back on top, fourth championship in the last 8 years,
Yep.
6 out of 8 finals appearances. There is a Jacob, there's a debate on Twitter that I saw, and it was mentioned in some other podcasts that I listened to as well, that the Golden State Warriors are not a dynasty. What do you have to say to that?
I wouldn't see why not. I feel like they should be if they've been, six to the six. You
Six
said
of the
six,
last 8.
six of the last 8, right? And they won 4 of them.
Mhm.
So I mean, I see why they couldn't be a dynasty, but they should be. They should definitely be considered one.
Yeah. The person who wrote the article that I saw about it is Bill Simmons, and Bill Simmons has a history of being a Boston Celtics homer in most of the in a lot of the articles he writes, at least. And I think he listed 4 teams throughout the NBA, the history of the NBA in its 75 years, that he considers a dynasty. Would you like to take a guess at who those 4 teams might be?
Boston, LA,
The 60s Boston is one.
say LA.
What years?
Either was it the early 80s?
He does not consider those teams with Magic and Kareem and James Worthy. He does not consider that a dynasty. You're missing the most obvious one.
Talking about the Kobe Shaq. They got that as a dynasty.
You see, no, that's not it, first of all.
The Lakers
But
one?
the funny thing about Bill Simmons is, being a Celtics guy, he does not consider that three-peat a dynasty, because I guess he doesn't think that it went on for long enough. There's one that I want you to say. I just want you to get this one. If you can't get this one,
You talking about
what are we
dynasty?
doing?
You talking about the dynasties?
Yes.
San Antonio.
Yes.
Yes, I know. I thought you were talking about the Lakers dynasty. That's the one I was trying to
That's
figure out.
that's still not it.
Still not
But
it.
he doesn't consider that a dynasty either. When the Spurs were consistently, they weren't winning every year, but every other year the Spurs were winning the championship from 1999 to 2007.
Mhm.
Come on, Jacob, you're a basketball fan. How do you not know this? You know
Nice.
people. We know some people who are going to be on your head for this.
Oh, I know.
Dynasty, man, dynasties. The word dynasty is most attached to this team.
Most attached to it's not LA.
No,
It's not Boston.
it is not.
Miami.
No, the Heatles. I wouldn't consider them a dynasty either, because, I mean, they went to the finals 4 straight years, but they were only together for 4 years, and they kind of underachieved from the standards that they set for themselves. So I would say that's not a dynasty either, but really?
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 Okay, what is it?
I'm disappointed in you. Does the name Michael Jordan ring a bell?
Chicago. Yeah, I wasn't
Does the
thinking.
name Scottie Pippen ring a bell?
Yep,
Does the
I
name
forgot
Dennis
about
Rodman
that.
ring a
Dennis
bell?
Rodman. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, give yourself a little slap on the neck for that one.
Yeah, I forgot about
But
that one.
yeah, I just saw that and I heard that the other day, and I thought that was really interesting that he doesn't consider this current Golden State team a dynasty when they've kept their whole core, well, at least most of their core, the core three of Steph, Clay, and Dre. Throughout these 8 years, they've been there every single time. And I guess you can add Andre Iguodala to that too, even though he didn't really play that much of a role this year. He was still on the bench providing good insight for a lot of the young guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Warriors win the championship, man. Um, kind of unexpected going into the year with all the Brooklyn and Lakers
But
talks
yeah,
going
the
on.
early favorites.
Yeah. And so I got a little thing prepared that I want to do for that as well. Talking about early favorites. Here, let me grab this real fast. All right. So coming into the season, who would you think was the favorite for this NBA season?
This past season,
The season that just ended.
the LA Lakers.
The Lakers were second.
Okay, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn was first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Golden State was fourth on that list. Do you have where do you think Boston landed on that preseason list?
I'll say seventh or eighth.
Seventh or eighth? Go lower. Like 9, 10, that way.
12th.
Boston was 13th. Boston had the 13th best odds coming into the season. They made the NBA Finals. And I did some digging and I found out that last year, I want you to guess where the Phoenix Suns were on the preseason favorites list.
Last year.
Whenever they went to the finals.
I'll say 13th.
They were 14th.
14th.
And so I kept digging. And so I went back to the bubble year. Where do you think the Miami Heat were in the preseason favorites list?
The bubble year. I'll say 11th, 12th,
They were 14th as well.
14th.
So in the last 3 seasons, the team that has made the finals has been outside the top 10 in the preseason odds. I thought that was pretty crazy. And I mean, it would have, I guess, been crazier if one of those teams would have won the finals, all 3 of them lost. But I mean, just the fact that they're there
Yeah.
is crazy in and of itself. And the team picked to win in the preseason rankings hasn't won since the Warriors did in 2018 with the super team.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's teams. And I have these preseason awards lists too that I kind of want to go through and see what your thoughts are on these. So who do you think was picked to win the preseason MVP?
Giannis.
Incorrect.
Jokic.
Incorrect. He's
Was
a
it KD?
superstar.
KD?
It's not Kevin Durant. I'll give you one more guess.
East or is it the Eastern Conference?
It's the Western Conference. Fairly young player.
Luka.
Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic was projected to win the MVP this year, and he ended up not even being a finalist. Although he did finish first team All-NBA, so we can't say he was too far off.
Yeah.
And so the actual MVP, this is the crazy part. The actual MVP, of course, was Nikola Jokic. Where do you think he was on the preseason MVP ladder?
I'll say fourth.
Go lower.
Fifth.
Go lower.
Eighth.
Nikola Jokic was 7th in the preseason MVP ladder after winning it last year. I thought that was pretty crazy. You go down to the rookie of the year. The rookie of the year was pretty obsolete. You had Cade Cunningham as the preseason rookie of the year, and he was finished top 3. A lot of people made the case that he could have won rookie of the year, and I get that. Scotty Barnes, he had the 5th best odds in the preseason, which I mean, he's a top 5 pick. They did put Jalen Suggs above him, who really underperformed to have been picked above him. But this is another crazy one. The defensive player of the year. Who do you think was the preseason defensive player of the year?
Rudy Gobert.
It was Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert. And you could have made the case too this year that Rudy Gobert should have won his, was it fourth straight defensive player of the year or third?
Fourth or third.
Yeah, it's one of the two, which is insane. And I was one of those people making the case. I'm one of the people in the camp that believes Rudy Gobert should win defensive player of the year every year just because of the impact that he has on
Right.
the game of basketball. It's insane. And I'm of the belief that if he gets traded in the offseason, the Utah Jazz, their defense next year will really be telling of how much he was doing.
Yeah, I've been seeing
Uh,
people say they've been getting worse perimeter defense over the last few years.
right.
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of, I guess, to say they're losing that and expecting him to kind of pick up the slack, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's not working out like how they thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, when everything's being funneled to him, there's only so much he can do, especially when he's getting switched out to the perimeter. People expect him to guard on the perimeter when he's 7'1", and he's not a fast guy. He's not Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Right.
He's not moving like that. But I mean, even when he does get beat sometimes, just 2 steps and the ball's getting blocked off the backboard.
Yeah.
So, all right, back to this. Marcus Smart, of course, won the actual defensive player of the year. Where do you think he was on the defensive player of the year preseason odds?
Say 10th,
Go lower.
14th,
Go even lower.
19th.
Marcus Smart was 18th in the preseason defensive player of the year odds.
Wow.
To add some context to that, they only put 20 people. And I mean, I understand him having him that low, just because, of course, a guard has not won defensive player of the year since 1996 when Gary Payton won it. But still, even 18th for a guy of Marcus Smart's caliber seems a little low.
Yeah, that I feel like he's one of the better guards that play defense, and guards don't get recognized as much. I feel like for defense,
Mm-hmm.
it's more of your
Wow.
big man and wings, but
Yeah, that's high Marcus Smart praise coming from a guy who is a fan of his rival team. I will say
yeah,
that might make some listeners happy.
might.
Some certain listeners that I might know.
Yes. I'm gonna stop having bias toward a lot of players after I sit and watch, see what they do.
I respect it. I respect that. Growth as a basketball fan, man. It's a
Yep.
beautiful thing. But let's move on to the 6th man of the year. Who do you think was the preseason 6th man of the year?
Jordan Clarkson.
It was Jordan Clarkson. And he finished up not even being a finalist, which he did have a down year, especially after last year. He had a great year last year. So it was kind of a thing of he could only go down from here.
Right.
But he did kind of fall off a cliff pretty hard. He did not have a great season. But the actual 6th man of the year, Tyler Hero, where do you think he was on the preseason 6th man of the year odds?
He was 5th, I believe.
He was 5th, but he was tied for 5th. Do you know who he was tied with? I don't think you're going to get this one. This one was pretty hilarious when I read it.
Is it a well-known player?
Not really. I would say about 80%. Well, I'd say about 60% of the people listening to this podcast don't know who this player is. I may have just underestimated some people, by the way.
Has he been in the running for it before?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I hope not, at least.
I'm not real sure.
Not well. You weren't going to guess it. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. It's Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne was tied for 5th in the preseason 6th man of the year odds. You talk about Jordan Clarkson falling off of a cliff. Cam Payne fell off of the Grand Canyon in comparison to that.
He jumped off.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious when I read that. We got 2 more awards here. We got the Most Improved Player Award. Who do you think was the preseason MIP? I want to know if you were in this camp as well at the beginning of the season.
Was it Ja they had for MIP?
It was not Ja.
It wasn't Anthony Simons.
No, I wish, but no, they weren't expecting Ant to take the jump he did.
Was it a big man?
It is not a big man. It is a guard. It is a relatively young guard.
RJ Barrett?
That's a good guess, but no. I'll give you one more guess. It's in the Western Conference.
Murray?
Who?
Murray from the Spurs?
DeJounte Murray?
Yeah.
That's a good guess too. But no, it was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was picked to win Most Improved Player. He ended up not being a finalist, partly because he didn't play for most of the second half of the season because the Thunder were a dumpster fire. But the actual Most Improved Player, of course, was Ja Morant.
All right.
And where do you think that he landed in preseason odds?
Preseason,
It's probably not
Before-
as high as you think.
not as high. Okay. 7th,
Lower,
10th,
lower.
14th.
14th. Ja Morant was 14th most improved coming into the season. I think partly that's just because Ja Morant had a great year last year.
Right.
And of course, people weren't expecting him to take another jump like he did this year. So shout out to Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Coach of the Year is the last award. Who do you think was the preseason Coach of the Year? You probably I didn't agree with this. I guess just because of the team, but I was kind of surprised to see that this coach was picked to win Coach of the Year. I'll just give you one guess for this one because I don't want to spend much time on it.
Was it Steve Nash?
It was Steve Nash. Yeah, that's a great pull. Steve Nash was picked to win Coach of the Year. And of course, the actual Coach of the Year, I'll just go ahead and say was Monty Williams. He was tied for third in the preseason odds. So it's funny with those awards and such because I'll go ahead and expose myself on this one. And I don't care about having bad takes. I don't really take pride in those. I kind of like to laugh at myself whenever I make those. And if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I guess that's just how I look at it now. But my preseason most improved player, I say all that to say, was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, well, I saw that Pelicans team and I was like, man, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is about to come in here and average like 20 points a game. He averaged like 10 points a game last year. He had all this opportunity in front of him. Came out laid like a flat goose egg. Got traded midway through the season and wasn't even cutting the active roster for the Utah Jazz. He doesn't even get minutes anymore. So yeah, I was way off on that one. But that's all that I wanted to do for the awards. Let's get into our favorite moments, man. We both wrote some of our favorite moments from the season down.
Right.
I guess we can kind of flip-flop. I'm gonna let you go first with your first favorite moment. You go ahead and take us over here.
Okay, one of my favorite moments was Andrew Wiggins in the finals. I know he got traded for D'Lo and a first-round pick, I believe, to Golden State. And a lot of people said they gave a lot up for Wiggins. I know D'Lo wasn't going to mesh well with Curry and Clay, and people said Wiggins has, I wouldn't say a bust, but kind of fell off as a number one pick. And I'll say in the finals, and to me, he finished second behind Steph Curry for Finals MVP.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that.
Great defense on Jason Tatum, in my opinion. It's hard to guard him, but I think Andrew Wiggins did a really good job. He had 2 games in a row. I believe it was 17 points, 16 rebounds.
Yeah,
and
he set his career high twice in the finals.
And then I think the next one was 20 points, 13 rebounds, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those were offensive rebounds too that they needed because they were getting outboarded.
He was out there hustling.
Yeah, they were getting outboarded by Boston. But I feel like he just kind of he didn't say he didn't shoot three. That he shot the three well, but not as well as he could have, I think. But I think he just kind of resurged, helped his career out. I
Yeah,
guess, like
yeah. And as a I've rode with Wiggins for a while, and I've always thought it was kind of unfair to judge him based off the hype that he got because I mean they were calling his nickname was Maple Jordan.
right,
So he was coming out of Kansas with all the hype in the world. And it's not like he's even been a bum. He's consistently averaged 20 points a season. And man, just for him to have a year like this where he's an all-star starter and say what you want about that, but in his resume, it's gonna say that he's an all-star starter
right.
and he goes in the finals and he's the second best player on a championship team. Man, I'm just happy for the arc that has happened with his career, and I hope that he continues to succeed. I hope he stays with the Warriors. I know he's up for
Yeah,
a contract extension,
I
and
know
he's
him.
probably going to get paid pretty handsomely. But
I know
I
him
hope
and
he
Poole.
stays with the
Yeah,
Warriors, man.
I do too. I like Wiggins. I was briefly a Minnesota fan, so I did like Wiggins for a while.
Yeah. Well, let me get into my first moment. I guess we can let's both do three. Let's both do three
Three.
moments.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my first moment is a Warriors moment as well. There are a lot of Warriors moments from the season, but the return of Klay Thompson, man. I remember, I think it was January 9th, 2022. Um, I was out for the day. I'd planned for weeks on watching the game where he came back, but I was out and I was about that day, so I couldn't do it. I recorded that game, and I've never been so excited to watch a game that I recorded. I mean, the Warriors aren't even my favorite team, so I mean, I run, and especially for like one of his first buckets to be a dunk on Jarrett Allen
Right.
in his first game back from a torn ACL. Insane, man. In front of the home crowd too, to top it all off. It was just great to see Klay Thompson back on the basketball court. And I mean, say what you want about his production. His of course his playoff production wasn't the greatest, but I take that with a grain of salt because he's still working his way back from an injury that's kept him out of the game of basketball for almost 3 entire years. So I don't I don't I don't hold him to the standard that he used to be held to. I was just excited to see him back on the court, and for him to be an NBA champion yet again, just this is awesome, man.
He did play, and he played a big part too in the finals. I would say. I mean, he didn't have those 30-point games, but he
Right?
he gave the buckets they needed to stay in the lead or within the lead of those close games.
Exactly. You're up.
I'd say another favorite moment was the MVP race because I remember basically the same. It was the same three for all year. One week it'd be Giannis. It'd be Giannis for 2 weeks, then it'd be Jokic, and then it'd be Joel the next week. It was just kind of back and forth until the end, and kind of Jokic just kind of stayed in first, Joel in second, Giannis in third. I think it really could have went either way. It just kind of depended on the circumstances that they were in. I guess record maybe, just kind of whatever you felt like was more impressive, I guess, of the circumstances out of the three.
Yeah, and I know you being a Sixer fan, of course, you were in the Joel Embiid camp, which I completely get. Joel Embiid was spectacular this season, and I think in a lot of other years, Joel Embiid would have won the MVP
Right.
had Nikola Jokic not come and taken it from him this year after just having a remarkable season himself,
Mhm.
which which just says so much about him being able to go back to back like that. But yeah, Joel Embiid, there's nothing short to be said of what he did this season. He was spectacular. And I mean, even for a little while, I was on the fence too up until probably a few weeks after the All-Star break. I was really 50-50 Giannis and I mean not Giannis, Jokic and Embiid up until a few weeks after the All-Star break. And I was watching Jokic on a pretty consistent basis. I was watching Embiid too on a pretty consistent basis. It's just Jokic was just a touch
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Just a touch.
Do you think the Harden trade kind of hurt Embiid's chances, or
here's the thing. Impact wise, no, but the MVP is so much based off of narrative too.
Right.
It's so much based off the storylines that because the whole season Jokic had to play without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the Sixers make this trade for James Harden, Joel Embiid doesn't have to carry the team anymore.
Yeah.
And so the narrative of that, as silly as that sounds, I think partly took away from Joel's case, which makes it a shame that I think it is kind of a shame that the media has as much impact as it does on award races. But
Yeah.
I still had Jokic as my MVP anyway, but I definitely think the James Harden trade played a part.
Right.
So my second moment that I want to talk about was just the Boston Celtics, the second half of the season into the playoffs for the Boston Celtics. There was a game. So if you don't know me, I'm a big Portland Trailblazer fan. I watch every Blazers game. And so this was in like the end of January. About a week earlier, RJ Barrett had hit a game winner against the Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics were up by 25 in that game. RJ Barrett hits the game winner. The Celtics are 18 and 21. I think they're 19 and 20. They're like 19 and 23.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing at home against us, the Blazers, and we're not very good either.
Right.
And they're winning the game by 18 points in the fourth quarter. And Yusuf Nurkic turns into Shaq. He turns into prime Shaq, puts us on his back, and wills us to beat the Celtics at the Garden. And I just remember after that game, can Jason and Jalen coexist on the court together? Those talks were at an all-time high. And something must have happened after that game and after that whole entire stretch. I know that they're very fond of having players only meetings, as I know they've had a couple, some with Brad Stevens. I don't know if that's what Ime employs, but maybe that's what happened. Maybe. And man, the run they went on for the second half of the season was insane. They were, statistically at least, they were easily the best team in basketball.
Right.
And I was foolish enough to bet against them in the playoffs. I said that I thought Brooklyn would beat them. And I severely underestimated their role players. I severely underestimated Al Horford.
Mm-hmm.
Grant Williams, especially for the first two rounds, was spectacular.
I think Derek White stepped up pretty big too.
Derek White in the Miami series was really, really good. They just had so many players play well in timely moments. And I give them all the props in the world for what looked like a lost season turned into something super, super great. And for Boston Celtics fans who are feeling down about losing the NBA Finals, of course, I understand you just lost in the NBA Finals after your best season in how many ever years. But, man, the journey that they went on this season was – I'm going to remember that for a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember that 2021, 2022 Boston Celtics team. They were truly fun to watch. They were locked in on the defensive end. They were whenever they were hitting their threes, nobody could beat them.
Right.
Nobody could beat them when they hit their threes. But, yeah, the Celtics were a joy to watch the second half of the season.
They didn't lose more than 2 games in a row since, was it January, end of January?
Yeah, it was like January 20-something. I think it was after the Blazer game. I think that was the game. Crazy enough.
Yeah.
All right, you got one more.
I think for this one, I think the race for the first seed in the East. I say that because it's injuries with Brooklyn, so they were bottom of the standings, play-in team. So do you try to avoid Brooklyn? Do you try to get the 1 seed to avoid Brooklyn, the 3 seed, the 4 seed? Because I think it was to the end of the season, 1 through 4 was there. Miami, Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly were all tied.
Right.
And I think they played each other toward the end. I know Boston and Milwaukee did. And I think Philly played Miami one of those games towards the end that could have changed the outcome. And Miami was on that few game stretch where they kind of just looked like they shut down. So I think that was pretty interesting because you didn't know if they were trying to avoid Brooklyn. Anybody was trying to avoid Brooklyn if there was a chance of them getting that 7 seed or even making the play in. But I think that was pretty interesting to keep up with and watch over a
Yeah.
few weeks.
That's another thing that I forgot to tie that into Boston. Boston was not ducking the smoke with Brooklyn. They
Right.
wanted all the smoke with Brooklyn. You you could tell that teams were trying to avoid them in the first round just because of the greatness of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving,
Right.
which is 100%. I get it.
Yeah.
But Boston, they were playing so well, and Coach Ime Udoka said, "We don't care who we play in the first round. We're going to come out and we mean business. We're going to sweep them regardless."
And they had rumors of Ben Simmons coming back game 4 and game 5 for the first round too.
Yeah,
But
I don't like how that situation was handled by the Brooklyn Nets.
yeah, I didn't think Ben would be I know we had our thing with Ben, but he could have helped. It's just offensively, I don't think it would have helped as much as people say. Defensively, of course, but offensively, it's kind of I didn't see how that would mesh well.
Yeah.
But
I didn't see a point of bringing him back at that point anyway, just because that messes up with so much of the flow. And I mean, the Nets lost those games, but so many of those games were close games.
yeah,
They were in those games until the end. And I felt like if you tried to add a piece like Ben Simmons into that mix, that just kind of that
throws
just
the
it would
chemistry
just
off.
make things
Yeah,
awkward.
yeah,
And I mean, I guess you kind of saw that where I think it was either game 3 or game 4. They put Blake Griffin on the court, and Blake Griffin had not played in some time.
yeah.
And I mean, he came in and gave them a few threes, but it was clear that he was being attacked on defense,
Right.
and it was rough. But my last moment that I'll mention right now is as my first year really watching League Pass. Um, there were a few teams who I would watch almost every single time they would play, and those were the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Memphis Grizzlies.
Right.
And there's a common theme that you can see with these teams. They're not maybe the best teams in the NBA, but they're exciting, fun, young teams. And every single night you knew that you were gonna get something out of them.
Yeah, some
Even
type
if
of
they
highlight.
didn't win the game. Yeah, you were gonna see something special. And I guess I can even add the New Orleans Pelicans in the second half of the season going into the first round of the playoffs. I really liked watching them too. But man, just watching those teams who have kind of been bottom dwellers in the past few years,
Right.
they really put together some young cores that are really, really exciting to watch. I had a lot of fun watching those teams this year.
Yeah, I watched Cleveland for a while for a pretty long stretch. I like how I like how Garland plays, and I think Levert kind of it fits well. Plus, you got Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, so two pretty good big men. So
Yeah. Their
it's fun to watch.
their big lineup is crazy with Markkinen, Evan Mobley, and Jared
Right.
Allen. You just got 3 7-footers running right out there. That's just ridiculous. But yeah, those are the moments, man. And I guess that's all I wanted to talk about for the 2021-2022 season. On a scale of 1 to 10, Jacob, how would you rank the season as a whole?
As a whole,
Yeah.
I'd give it about an 8 or 9. I know
Okay.
the playoffs. Some people think the playoffs could have been better, but I enjoyed the playoffs. But I give it about an 8 or 9.
Yeah. I was gonna say either a 7 or an 8. And my reasoning behind that was um not even the playoffs. My main reasoning was the end of December and early January when every single team had like 6 or 7 players out
Oh yeah,
on COVID protocols. And I mean, I guess it was kind of a fun time to see like young, like
people
nobody
that don't.
players
Yeah,
come out of
right.
nowhere. But I guess it's kind of like it's kind of like NBA basketball stopped for a few weeks whenever that was going on with the Christmas time outbreak or whatever. And
Yeah, I
so
think it
that's the
was.
main reason why I put it down.
Mhm.
But and I think also too, The I'd say the trade deadline was cool, but it was just a little anticlimactic.
Yeah,
The
I don't
James
think.
Harden trade was great. The
Mhm.
CJ McCollum trade was crazy, but I'd say the craziest trade for me at the deadline was the Tyrese Halliburton to the
Yeah,
Indiana Pacers trade.
yeah.
That trade killed me. I was like, what in the world are they doing?
I still don't understand their reasoning for that, but
And that going into the draft, that makes Jaden Ivey, who's the top guard prospect in the draft, he's made it known that he doesn't want to sign with the Kings because they're shady.
right.
And they just their front office makes some questionable moves to say the least.
And I know they're talking about trading a pick too, but if they don't, I feel like Ivy would get picked to kind of, I guess, fill the void of Tyrese Halliburton, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if they trade that, I mean, I've seen John Collins' name be linked with them. And, the rumors are going around. And by the way, we're recording this on the night before the draft if this comes out at a later date for whatever reason. So some of these trades, some of these deals that are rumored might have been made already. But let's get into some of that. Let's get into some of that. Jacob, what are some of the moves that you've seen that kind of interest you the most?
I like the Christian Wood to Dallas trade. I feel like they were just trying to get cap space. Not Houston was trying to. I think they just didn't want to sign him long term. But
Yeah.
that was pretty. I understood that when they kind of just gave up a few players that it's like okay, Dallas, few role players, I guess. I think rumor wise, I like I believe the Knicks, Grizzlies, and
I think that's linked with Sacramento too.
right, the fourth pick. And then there's multiple teams I think trying to move up or move back. So I think
Yeah.
this draft I have multiple trades in it, moving back
Oh,
or
yeah,
up.
I'm excited to see the movement that happens tomorrow. I guess for a quick minute, I'll speak on the kind of the elephant in the room, the Jeremy Grant trade that was made
Right.
this evening. Um, I've been vouching for this for a while. I've been vouching for this trade for a while, but when I saw at first that the trade talks were Jeremy Grant for like Eric Bledsoe in the seventh pick, I
Yeah.
did not like that the seventh pick was thrown in. I mean, Eric Bledsoe is just contracts is he's got a big contract. We need to throw him out anyway.
Right.
But man, that Jeremy Grant for the seventh pick, it didn't sit right with me. And either way, I would welcome Jeremy Grant to the team with open arms. But the fact that we were able to get that deal done without having to throw that seventh pick in, and
Right.
even the future pick isn't even our pick; it's Milwaukee's pick, and
2026, I think.
it's
That's what it was.
2025.
2025.
And I expect, you know, Lord willing, that something terrible doesn't happen to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Milwaukee is going to be good in
Good.
2025. So, that trade kind of baffled me a little bit, but I mean, being on the Blazers side of it, I can't complain in the
Yeah.
slightest. And I think Jeremy Grant is a great fit alongside Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons.
Mhm.
He's a bigger forward. He can guard bigger guys. He's nimble and quick enough to guard on the wings. I just hope his 3-point shooting translates. His role will be drastically different than it was on the
True.
Pistons, I'm sure.
They're not gonna rely on
But
scoring as much either. Or all the scoring won't be on
right,
him either. Yeah.
yeah. But the fact that he is able to create if he has to, and he's a good corner 3-point shooter, I'm super excited to have him on the team. We were also able to use the trade exception, which means we didn't use up any cap space either to get him. So we're sitting pretty right now, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think
Today was a good day.
yeah, I want to say it was I think his 3-point percentage this past year was 38%, maybe.
Yeah, I think I saw it was
Close
like
to that.
38, 39,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is super, super straight. But
And then I know
one
I'll go ahead.
wait, say what you're gonna say. You say what
So
you're
I
gonna say.
know it's multiple rumors about Philadelphia trying to package their pick. I thought that Houston would get it for a while until they said today that they didn't want any more draft picks this draft.
Mhm.
So I don't know how that'll work. I think they're still trying to clear space to maybe get a third star, which I don't think we should do. But I don't know how that. And Tobias' contract, nobody's gonna get that. Nobody wants that. I've
Unless you want, unless you want Russell Westbrook or John Wall.
yeah, I've accepted nobody wants his contract, so I'm slowly turning into a fan, I guess, of Tobias.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess speaking on Tobias Harris, in the series against the Raptors, at least he was good. He was
No, I
good
like
in
he's
that
playing
series.
good. But
He defended well and he shot the ball pretty well in that series.
yeah, I like him with our
But
second unit, but just he's getting max contract money to be the fourth option.
yeah,
That's the
it's
only
just the contract
that's the only
difference.
downfall.
Yeah, I feel it. I guess the last thing that I want to talk about tonight is the draft tomorrow. I've I every year I make mock drafts and I do pretty extensive draft research. I watch college basketball as it is, so I've kept up with most of these guys throughout the season. Now the international prospects are different. I don't have a whole lot of intel on them, but the guys who were in college I know a good deal about. And I think Paolo Banchero is easily the best player in this class. I think the Magic would be dumb to pass up on him. But I mean Jabari Smith is great too. I Chet Holmgren, Chet Holmgren, I've seen a lot of people discount Chet Holmgren, saying that his frame is too small or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
What I'll say about that is they said the same thing about a guy last year who almost made an all defensive team in his rookie season, that being Evan Mobley.
right.
So I think Chet Holmgren is going to be great. I think Paolo Banchero is the most NBA ready prospect.
Yeah,
I
I've seen that
think
too.
Yeah, I think right out of the gate, Paolo Banchero, whatever team he goes to, has the potential to average 20 points and like 8 rebounds. And his game translates the best, I think. But yeah, draft day trade movement, it could get hectic tomorrow. You got teams like the Rockets who have 3 picks right now, teams like the San Antonio Spurs who have 3 picks, who could look to trade up. You've got, of course, rumors about teams like the Boston Celtics trying to trade with the Golden State Warriors for
Right.
an end of the first round pick. You've got the Memphis Grizzlies trying to trade up. The New York Knicks have been involved in talks with Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner. A lot of teams have been involved with Miles Turner. Tomorrow could go so many different directions. It's so interesting. So interesting to see what is going to happen.
Yeah, I think who else? I believe I know that Jeremy Grant trade, they clearing space to offer DeAndre Ayton the max.
Right. That's why let me go ahead and say this real fast too. I forgot to say that. That's why I don't think it was as bad as people are saying, because I think, yeah, like you said, this sets up for a play out of Jeremy Grant. I mean, not Jeremy Grant. What am I talking about? DeAndre Ayton.
Right.
And I think DeAndre Ayton to the Pistons is great fit, actually. I think DeAndre Ayton and Cade Cunningham paired with whoever the fifth pick might be, who I think it will be Benedict Mathurin, who's a great 3-and-D guy. I think that would be a great little three that they've got alongside Sadiq Bey over there. And I think the Pistons, if they have that going for them, I think that they have the potential to compete for a playoff spot
Playing
next
spot.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was also Memphis moving up to fourth was one. And I think package for Rudy Gobert from Atlanta. I think it was like John Collins, Kevin Herter, pick. It was a lot just for Gobert. And I know Collins had been sending around a lot of talk these past few days.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I've seen Rudy Gobert's name be linked to several different teams. I've seen him be linked to the Atlanta Hawks, to the Chicago Bulls. I've seen him be linked to the Charlotte
Charlotte Hornets,
Hornets,
right?
who are in desperate need of a big man. But out of a percent chance, what do you think is the percent chance that Rudy Gobert is back on the Utah Jazz next season? 0 to 100.
I say 60.
60?
Right. Yeah. I don't think.
I would. You go ahead.
I don't think. I don't know if Utah could find a package they would like for Gobert of the teams looking for a center like that. But you never know. It's crazier things have happened on draft night.
For real, yeah. And I mean, I expect to see not just player trades. I expect to see pick swaps. A lot of movement is going to happen tomorrow. I feel like the build up. It's the calm before the storm, as they say. Um, and it's good. It's good that trades are happening right now, man. It's good to see that back. And
Right.
free agency starts in 2 weeks. We'll be here to cover all of that. It should be a blast over these next few weeks, man.
I believe it starts a week after the draft, doesn't it?
Yes,
Or yeah.
I know contract talks begin on June 29th, which is not, I think it's next Wednesday. It's a week from today.
Yeah. I think July 3rd is when they can officially sign, or the July 6th, 3rd or 6th, one of those. But
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's all I wanted to talk about this episode. You got anything else to add?
I don't think I do. I think we've covered everything before the draft.
Yeah. And let me just add, right now we don't have like a set schedule or anything. We'll probably put another episode out this week recapping the draft and talking about free agency. But it's kind of just an impromptu basis. But yeah, this is fun. This has been a good first episode. It's been pretty coherent, and
Yeah, it has.
hopefully we continue to get better from here. And yeah, it's been a blast. I can't wait to keep doing this. I was so excited for this all day.
Yeah, I was too. And I will say I won't have any more brain dead moments like I did at the beginning. I just that the question it confused me how a little bit, but I won't
Yeah,
have
that
any
was
more of
bad.
those moments. Yeah.
Somebody's gonna get a clip of that and hold it against you forever.
Yeah, I'm expecting it. It's gonna be coming here in a few days. But
Yeah. And oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention. The name of the YouTube channel that we're gonna be posting this on, I have it set as Ball Oasis right now. I kind of like that name, but I guess if anybody has any input that they'd like to share with us on a name, send it to us via Instagram. I'll post the link to this video on Instagram, and you can just leave it in the comments of the video or whatever. So your input is greatly appreciated.
great.
We're very new to this. We just want to talk ball, man. That's the premise of all of this.
Yep.
Yep. Well, if that's all, we'll sign out. We'll see y'all the weekend probably.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.